Say something in the mic.
Mic check, mic check.
Okay.
God is king.
All right. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
Hero Israel, you are approaching the battle against your enemies today. Do not be faint-hearted. Do not be afraid or panic or tremble before them. For the Lord your God is the one who goes with you to fight against your enemies.
War. War, it's 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 war. War. Touch not his anointed. I'm his, I've been appointed. And I be praying, rebuking, and demon slaying. I'm known to speak in the spirit, hear what I'm saying? It's war, we suffer no more. Grab the oil, anoint the dough. Suffer in, then pray some more. Shout, kick the enemy out. Let praise inhabit your mouth. Watch God raise up your house. Elevation through celebration of a God-given emancipation. I'm free, not get like me. We need you in God's army. Soldiers who are ready to fight, lay down and get a life. Heard Christians being martyred. Fear not, just pray harder. Drink up this living water. Jesus, cover me. I'm going in with a double-edged sword and a pad of pen. We love the Lord, so we will win. No weapon formed against us shall prosper. We are the head and not the tail. We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we will fear no evil, for you are with us. You are God. War, it's war. 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 War. This next song is called Reach. For our God said if we draw nigh unto him, he will draw nigh unto us. So I want you to take your hands and just reach up and grab it. Whatever it is he promised you, just grab it. You gotta reach. Reach. All he really gotta do is. And so when he called you and reach. While the enemy seeks to devour, realize you have the power before it's your final hour. And where the Lord lives, there's liberty. Now I'm gone. Reach. And my victory. I am more than a conqueror, cause God loves me. And I'm such a wretched sinner. Don't know why he's mad for love me, but I'm thankful cause I know it could have been me. Dry on the inside, walking through the world, tank on empty. But I dug deep with everything inside of me, and I chose to reach it. If I draw nigh unto my Savior, he draw nigh back unto me. That living water set me free. On his word I walk in peace. Nope, I don't really worry about nothing. 1 Peter 5:7. Up to heaven, I'm a king's daughter, no time for stressing. On my knees, I pray for blessings for family, friends, and enemies. For vengeance don't belong to me. Can't be both bitter and free. I forgive you, not go your way. What God removes just cannot stay. With his commands, I do not play. If I seek him first, I'll be okay. With the faith of Peter, drop your nets, pick up your cross, and reach today. All you really gotta do is. And so when he called you and. While the enemy seeks to devour, realize you have the power before it's your final hour. And all you really gotta do is. And so when he called you and. While the enemy seeks to devour, realize you have the power before it's your final hour. And where the Lord lives, there's liberty. And I am reaching for everything he has for me. Joy and peace, things I could not see while lost. Dying in them streets, I was afraid to come to God. Church folks made it seem so hard. It was all, don't do this and don't do that. Then they talk about you bad behind your back when you don't fit in. God said love covers a multitude of sins, and the change that you see come from within. Love God first, then love your and you'll win. It's as simple as that. Give your life living sacrifice. Watch God react. He'll correct you when you're wrong. When you're weak, he is so strong. All you really gotta do is answer the call before it's gone. And Reach for the final power before the final hour. The enemy wants your soul, he seeks to kill, destroy, devour. But sorry for you, hater, don't you know sweet victory's ours? Now get under our feet, taste defeat, I'm sure it's sour. All you really gotta do is answer when he called to you, and while the enemy seeks to devour, realize you have the power before it's your final hour. And all you really gotta do is answer when he called to you, and while the enemy seeks to devour, realize you have the power before it's your final hour. And Philippians 3:12 and 13 NLT. I don't mean to say that I have already achieved these things or that I have already reached perfection, but I press on to possess that perfection for which Christ Jesus first possessed me. No, dear brothers and sisters, I have not achieved it, but I focus on this one thing, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. I press on to reach the end of the race and receive the heavenly prize for which God, through Christ Jesus, is promised. This song is called Surrender. And when I say surrender, I do not mean to the church. And I definitely don't mean to our flesh. I mean to God himself.
You hear him calling out to you.
I know you hear him calling out to you. Surrender.
Tired of being lost and confused.
Are you tired yet? Times it's hard, they say we living in a recession. Seem like everybody's stressing. We forget to count our blessings. Better thank him cause you still here. It's okay to shed tears, but brush him off cause he hears everything that you say. It pays big to pray. Surrender all today. Not saying that it's easy, but it's worth it. Believe me, I turned my back on the Lord and still he didn't leave me. He is faithful when you ain't. He does all when you can't. That is blood, not pain. His love is real. I'm giving him my stresses, all them worries, all them bills. It's all due to him that I feel joyful. The enemy almost had me suffering from depression and pain, but somebody somewhere, yes, they was praying for rain. So I came back different. I'm no longer the same. I'm covered in his blood and I'm destined for gain. Blessed, made anew. He took all that mess that was I.
You hear him calling out to you.
Surrender. Hey.
Being lost and confused.
Are you tired yet? Are you tired yet? Surrender.
Days are waiting here for you.
You gotta know better days are waiting here for you.
You hear him calling out.
Hey, he's calling out. He's calling out. I write for those who's afraid to try. You can surrender all to the great I am. He is wonderful. I have to call him the Biz. He's an awesome provider for me and my kids. A protector, a rider, and you are his kid. So no matter where you are, you just know that he lives in our hearts. And though the enemy try to tear us apart, don't let him. He has no power here, so don't even sweat him. Forget him. Keep it pushing. Keep your eye on the goal. Know that Christ is coming soon and he'll be calling us home. But first, there is something you must do on your own. Surrender. Let all the pain and suffering come to an end. You say you tired of your life right now. Let newness begin. He is ready to fight them battles that you just can't win. But he can't do a thing till you let him in. Everything that you are, you just give it to him. Surrender.
You hear him calling out to you.
I know you hear him calling. Surrender.
Lost and confused.
Are you tired yet? Are you tired yet? Surrender.
Days are waiting here for you.
You gotta know better days are waiting here for you. Hey, he's calling out. He's calling out. Surrender.
Calling out to you.
I know you hear him calling. Surrender.
Lost and confused.
Are you tired yet? Are you tired yet? Surrender.
Days are waiting here for you.
You gotta know better days are waiting here for you. Hey, he's calling out. He's calling out. Surrender. Surrender. One of the hardest things that we as people will ever be required to do is basically looking up to God and saying we don't know what to do. But we know he is God. We know he is King. And we know he reigns supreme in our lives. So we trust that he has a plan and a purpose for each of us. So we give him our stresses, our weaknesses, our strengths, our gifts, our talents, our lives, everything that we are. We give it right back to our God. And we trust him to do marvelous things with it. Just as he gave his son a living and breathing sacrifice, we give our lives back to him, a living and breathing sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God. Surrender.
All right, all right. Give God praise tonight, amen. God is good. That was our sister Rain holding us down. We're going to do something different at the end of the month. The fourth Sunday of the month, we're going to do something different with the music. We want our artists to get more involved with the service. So keep it locked because you're not going to know what we're going to do for you. So we want to welcome everyone out to our Sunday night Bible study. This is His Ministries, better known as Club His Hop Las Vegas. We do concerts the second Saturday of every month, and also we do special events during the month. And we want to thank you for your support. Thank you for coming out, supporting our shows. Our next event will be May 13th, and that is One Big Party. DJ Mr. E is going to come out, and also Sean Oliver, and they're going to come out and give us some of that Florida flavor. So if you are in town, if you're in Vegas, even if you're not in Vegas, come on out May 13th. It's a free event, free to the community. This is our evangelistic outreach the second Saturday of each month. And also our King Tour is coming to town. The King Tour is coming to Vegas. Please support that tour. They are part of the Hog Mob, God Over Money label. This is a big tour. It's sponsored and is backed by Rapzilla. And so they called us up. They said, Vegas, we want to come. So they're going to come out here to Club His Hop. And that event is going to go down May the 26th. It's going to be a Friday. We're going to have a VIP session like we had when the Truth Music Tour came out. The VIP starts at 6 p.m. The show starts at 7. So please mark it on your calendar. And also, we want to give you an opportunity to give to the ministry. So the VIP tickets are $20. Regular tickets and the door tickets are going to be $10. That's one Happy Meal. All you have to do is hold back on one Happy Meal, and bam, you've supported the ministry, and you will support this tour coming to Club His Hop. Also, we live stream our services every Sunday at 6 p.m. So please keep it locked. Download our app, His Hop Radio, in your app store. We have a lot of things coming up. We thank you for your support. And if you want to give to this ministry, you can give online. You can go to hishopnation.com and hit our PayPal link, hishopnation.com. Or if you want to send something in, send it to 3945 East Patrick Lane, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89120, Unit D. Make sure you put Unit D, D as in diamond. Unit D, if you want to send a check or something like that, money order, make it out to His Ministries. We thank you for your support, and we're going to pray over every person that wants to sow and give into this ministry. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your support, the support we get all over the country. We thank you, Father God, for those who have a heart to sow into this ministry. We pray that you will return the blessing unto them 100-fold, Father. And there's no other place better to invest in than your kingdom. And we thank you for that opportunity. In the name of Jesus, God's people said, amen. All right. I just want to give a shout out to a few people. Super J, she's not here. She's actually out of town tonight. And also Kwanika, she's getting her car worked on. So she's out of town tonight as well. We have a few people missing tonight, but we're going to turn up like we're supposed to, right? Turn up like we're supposed to. So tonight we have a guest speaker. He is none other than Pastor Randy. He is a Spartan heavy hitter for the kingdom. So let's give a warm welcome to Pastor Randy tonight as he comes forward. Amen, brother. God bless you.
There we go. Thank you so much, Sam. God bless you, brother. I appreciate this. Every time I come up here, I have way too much fun, so I'm going to apologize to y'all right now. All right? Usually in the morning, it's a larger, more uptight crowd, so I can't get away with some stuff. Tonight I can, so don't say I didn't forewarn you. First of all, I want to go ahead and give thanks and glory to God. The truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter how many people are in front of you when you're sharing his word. As long as you get to share it. There's so many people who thought about sharing the word today who did not wake up. They didn't get the opportunity, right? There's some people right now that's in a hospital or something bad has happened. Life happens, and you can't go share the word of God with anybody. So let's known come and share it with 1, 2, 3, anybody. It is a blessing. So I thank you so much, and I thank Jesus for giving me this opportunity. Second, I want to thank Pastor Sam. You know, this is just so cool. Not only to get a chance to preach at night, which I love preaching at night, but anybody who knows me, I'm usually out in the streets doing outreach. That's our thing. We just left an outreach event, literally drove in hot from the Sportsman's. And although that is like the greatest thing because you're watching God work in all these people right there where they are, it's nothing like when somebody brings you into their house and says, I love you, I trust you, feed my people. So I try to refer to myself, instead of Pastor Randy, I call myself Chef Randy when I'm up here giving the word, because I'm about to serve you the word. So what I'm going to have the few of you guys do for me, if you don't mind, I want you to look at the person next to you and say, God loves you. I love you. Now it's time to eat. Amen. That's how we should start it out. Now, when I was here, let me see, back in March, we were talking about identity, right? Identity is who you are and where you're going. The problem with a lot of people, a lot of Christians and believers is some of them have no idea who they are, even they're supposed to know, but they don't. And they have no idea where they're going. And it's crazy because if you're a non-believer, this is the thing about non-believers. They know who they are. They'll tell you in a minute. I know exactly who I am. You can call me a sinner. I call myself Todd. You know, I don't look at myself that way because they don't care. They know exactly where they're going. They said, you know what? If I'm going to hell, I'm going to hell. But I don't believe in hell, so be it. But they know. They have a knowledge of who they are, even though they're completely 100% wrong. They're right about the hell thing. But it's crazy. As believers, we're supposed to know exactly who we are. The whole point of being in Christ is so you have an identity that's greater than the one you thought you had. Right? Now, your destination, your direction, everything you are is designed and determined by something greater than you. Meaning you have no idea what your potential is. Jesus does something special, right? With him being a living God, not like these gods on TV, like the ones of old. They've got gods, you know, running around doing all this stuff, but none of them are real. None of them are living. There's not one God who died for you. There's only one God, period, and that's Jesus Christ. But in him being in your life every day actively, he says, I determine who you are. I determine your steps, and he'll give you things. He'll give you dreams. I run into people all the time, and I say, man, what was your dream? And I don't care how old they are. Usually the older ones, it's all melancholy when I ask them. I say, man, what was your dream? Well, you know, oh, man, I just, you know, when I was younger, I wanted to do this, and I hoped I wanted to do this, and I wanted to marry this. I wanted to drive this, and it's like, wow, man, you act like it's over, like all that stuff still can't happen. I love kids. Kids, you ask a kid the same question, what is your dream? That kid can't wait to, I can't wait to do this, and I'm going to get into the NBA, and I'm going to, Crystal Palace next weekend. I'm roller skating, roller skating. And you know what's crazy? They going to do it. They going to find a way to do it. For them, those same dreams are so attainable. It's right there. Well, when God gives you something, when you know that your dream is in some way, shape, or form to glorify God, it's in your heart, the only person that you hurt by not pursuing it with everything you got is you, right? It ain't on God. He gave you the dream. He said, I gave you the dream. You got the Spirit in you. I'm behind you if it glorifies me. I'm waiting on you. And then you're stuck with all these folks just sitting there talking about, man, I wish I could. Man, I wish I had a. How come I can't? Right? How does that glorify God? I don't care where you work. I don't care what you do. If God gave you something and you're not pursuing it with everything you have, then you're not being a good steward of the life he gave you, because what happens when that life runs out? If you die tomorrow, what they going to say? Oh, he was the best bus driver I've ever seen. He drove that bus like nobody else, right? I don't even think he ever had a flat tire. That's how good he was at driving that bus. And that's it. They can't give you your last name or nothing. That's not the mark you want to leave. That is not your legacy. You're not still breathing right now to go out like that, right? You're breathing right now because God says, I still need you to do something. This life ain't really for you, but that dream I gave you is for you. It is for you. So he's saying, what is it going to take to get you up and going? Pastor Sam last week, he brought up a statement that I used. I actually done a sermon on it called The Gift of Goodbye. I did a sermon about that bad boy. I'm glad he brought it up because it's an important thing. You got to understand sometimes goodbye is a gift. When God says you got to leave something alone, when you say goodbye to that thing, it is a gift because he's got another gift for you that's greater than the thing you're giving up. It never fails. Every time I said, Lord, I don't understand. Why am I giving up this job? It's because when I did it, when I followed him in obedience and I saw what he gave me, I'm like, oh my God, now it makes sense. It has never failed me in my life. And we can go all the way back to before I was a Christian. I was that little kid, that 12, 13-year-old sitting there praying that didn't know God. I wasn't even no Christian yet, but I still prayed. God gave me a dream. He said, this neighborhood you live in don't have no houses. There's no houses in this neighborhood, right? There's no car dealerships in this neighborhood. That's why everybody ride the bus. You got to go outside of this neighborhood to get a car dealership. There's no churches in this neighborhood. You got to go outside of this neighborhood to even get the church. But God said, I'm going to bring the church to you. And he gave me something. He said, I can see one day there being a church right here in this neighborhood. And not only will there be a church, but that church is going to provide food, clothing, transportation, and housing for generations. I'm thinking, Lord, come on, because we need all four of those. We need food, clothing, transportation right now. I'm looking at my little sister like, I hope this works. And it didn't work. It didn't work because it wasn't time. But that dream stayed with me my whole life, y'all. I accepted Christ. I did everything he told me to do. Now look, that same neighborhood had no churches. Now it's got 2 churches. That same neighborhood that didn't have food, clothing, transportation now has 2 outreach centers that offer food, clothing, and transportation 5 days a week. That's all God. That's all God. And I look back and I think, wait a minute, if I hadn't made this move, that wouldn't have been here. If I hadn't made this move, there'd be no church right there. If I hadn't made this move, there'd be no pantry right there. And there wouldn't be this and that. And I'm thinking, you know what? That was all God. I didn't even know why I was doing it. I just knew that wherever God told me to go, I would go because I trusted him. I believed in the dream and I sacrificed. If you care about something enough, you will say goodbye to something else. If something ain't for you, it ain't for you. And I'm the one to tell you, it was some people that wasn't for me. Me and Pastor Sam, we talk about this all the time. It's always them people that you think are right there for you when something goes wrong in your life. When you ain't got no gas money, when you can't get somewhere, when you lose your job, where they at? How many of them call you, right? I told Pastor Sam, I got family members that would call me all the time and say, oh, Pastor, I need your prayers. And I go, you know what? This is what we're going to do. I get up every morning at 4 a.m. I said, I'm going to call you at 3:55. We're going to pray for 10 minutes every morning. And I would pray for these people. This is family, blood. I'm praying for them all month for 30 days. I'm like, God is going to move. God moves, and these family members don't even live in Las Vegas. So I'm like, you know what? God moved. I didn't even have to be near you. All glory to God. Then I find out on Facebook that they in town for a whole week. And I'm excited because I'm like, oh my God, I get a chance to see this family member that I've been praying for. And I hit them up, and they like, oh, we leave today. You've been in town a whole week, and you can't text me? You know what I mean? It's crazy because it's almost like, okay, Lord, they got what they wanted. You showed up in their life. But at the same time, just hey, man, what's going on? I wanted to come by and just say thank you for what happened in person. That's too much. God is pruning those people out of my life. He's helping me realize that although he used me to help that person, I'm done with that person. Like my job, giving God to them, is done. Now they've got God. Their job is to pursue God, and that's it. I would be the fool to continue to pursue that person. The same thing with friends. If you got friends in your life and all they do is take from you, all they do is leech from you, they don't never do nothing for you, it's all from you, you got to get rid of them. You are the people you hang out with. It's always been that way. If you're a Christian and you ain't hanging out with no Christians, well then what you doing? You sharing the gospel with them dudes or the women every day? No, you're not. I'll come to your barbershop right now and I'll ask if you're a Christian. We'll see what they say. You know, for you women, I'll come to your work, I'll come to your school, and I'm going to ask them. They might not even know you as a Christian. It's because you're hanging around with folks that ain't Christian. If you're hanging around with a bunch of Christians, you got no choice but to share the gospel at work because they're going to ask you about it. They might even come to your job. You don't talk about Jesus, right? You got no choice but to talk about God at your job, at your school, at your barbershop because your friend's going to be right there with you. And they're going to be like, hey, man, why ain't we talking about God right now? Because you're with the right people. If you want to be with somebody or you want to be somebody successful, shouldn't you hang out with somebody successful? Wouldn't it make sense to surround yourself with people who have already done it or people who are doing it or people that can help you do it? That's what you want to be, breathing, eating, living, because that changes your outcome. That gets you to your dream. I'm not saying it's bad to have people that are taken from you. That's okay. Let them take all that you can give. But at some point, you got to stop giving. At some point, you got to let them know either you're with me or you're not, right? 9 times out of 10, they're not. And this is a good time to give them that gift that I told you about, the gift of goodbye. Set them free. Say, you know what? Go be with whoever you want to be with because you wasn't with me no way. Watch what happens in your life 90 days later. Matter of fact, 6 months later, look at your life from when you set yourself free from that person that was holding you back. Or when you got with that better group of friends that was all living in houses, all driving cars, all pursuing God, all doing something great. Next thing you know, 6 months, you're like, wow, I'm actually doing better 6 months. And I don't even know what I did different. It's who you were around. It's what you were eating, how you were eating, what you were feeding on, and how you were receiving God. That's what dictates your dream. All of a sudden, stuff that you forgot about, little dreams that God gave you before that you gave up, now they popping back up. And what's cool is now you're surrounded by folks that can help you make it happen. Now, instead of working for somebody else, you own your own business, right? Everybody looking at you going, well, you ain't got no customers yet. Guess what? That ain't your friend. That ain't your friend. A real friend will be like, how we going to go get you some customers? What can we do to go help you? That's a real friend. You say, I'm going to plant a church. They say, when we going to plant this church? I ain't got much time, but what time I got is yours. Let's go plant this church. Let's go get some people saved. Those are your friends. They will help you achieve your dream. All right? And I want to get all that out the way because I want you guys to understand where I'm coming from before I go into this sermon. I am friends with everybody. If I got enemies, God bless you. I don't know who you are. I'd like to meet you. Maybe I can get you to change your mind. Right? Hang out with me for a little while. You might change your mind. But I serve God. That's what I do. My identity is in Him. Eating, sleeping, dreaming. Everything I do is Jesus. I can't go home and just have a conversation with my wife without Jesus being part of it. That's just what we do. I do that on purpose so that it becomes a discipline, so that I don't fall back on me when I get depressed or when things don't go my way or when I got somebody that needs my help, but they don't need my help. They need His help. They ain't coming to me. They coming to Him. So I got to make sure they get Him and not me. So I guard the word in my heart. That's what I do. So this is not a game for me. My dream is too big to waste the little time I have on this planet with people that aren't going to help me. So my advice before we get into this word is you think about this before you leave today. Think about the ones that's been with you, the ones that's still with you, right? And the ones that don't need to be with you no more. And if you don't prune them out, God will. John 15 is very clear. He will prune them out. And when he does it, it's usually a lot worse than you saying, hey, man, I ain't got time for you no more. I don't know how else to say this, right? I don't know how else to say this, but I'm going to go do something else tonight. Or I'm going to go hang out somewhere else. Or better yet, I'm just going to be on the phone with somebody else because I'm tired of being where I am. I want to go somewhere else, and you ain't going to help me get there. When I get there, I'll call you. How about that? But if you ain't going to help me get there, we don't need to be talking right now. God bless you. Go talk to Jesus. I'm being real with y'all right now. So let's go ahead and get into this word so you guys know where all this is coming from. Those dreams you get are from God. If they're glorifying God, they could have only come from him. Why wouldn't he want you to have all that stuff? Right? Why would he say, no, don't have it? He's waiting on you. He said, I did what I was supposed to do. I don't know what you waiting on. Right? So let's, oh man, where are we going to go? We're going to go all the way back 2100 BC. We're going to go back to the Old Testament, first book of the Bible. We're going to go Genesis. Let's go Genesis. We'll start in chapter 37. Preferably NIV if you guys have it. If you don't, I'll take New King James. But my Bible is NIV. Right? We're going to go Genesis chapter 37, 2100 years BC. You've got 12 brothers. The youngest brother, his name is Joseph. Right? He's the only son. His father, Jacob, who his name was later turned to Israel, fell in love with a woman named Rachel. I'm sorry, is it Rachel? Yeah, it's Rachel. Her name was Rachel. And this was the only child they had together. Every child he had, every one of his 11 brothers was with another woman. So finally, he had a child with the woman he loved. So therefore, he loved this child the most. Right? The first thing he did was he made a multicolored robe for this kid, a cloak. And he gave it to him. And the multicolor, what that signified was royalty. Anybody that had multicolored anything in 2100 BC had to be royalty. So he said, my son is royalty. Already God was moving through Jacob or Israel to show this boy, you will be royalty. Well, the boy turned 17 years old, and he's the youngest, so you know his older brothers don't like him. Already they see him walking around with this robe, but he's the youngest one. I don't know about y'all, but the youngest in the family don't get to walk around like a king. It just don't work that way. The hierarchy does not work. I'm sorry. You're going to have to be a servant first before I let you be a king. Well, his brothers felt that way, and he told his brothers, I had a dream. God gave me a vision in my dream that one day I'm going to rule over you guys. Right? He gave me a vision of these stalks, these corn stalks. And I'm in the center, and they're all bowing down to me. You know, and there were 11 corn stalks. Right? He says, I also got a dream that the sun and the moon and the stars were all coming down to bow down to me. Now, of course, his brothers aren't going to take it well. They're like, brother, who you think? We ain't never going to bow down to you. Who do you think you are? His father, Jacob, who gave him the cloak, was like, hey, you need to calm down, Joseph. Like, the sun and moon, does that mean me and your mother and your brother's going to bow down? Now you're going a little too crazy with it. Let me get my cloak back, you know. He didn't take it back. But at the same time, it caused animosity because God gave him that dream. But the people around him, they weren't having it. They weren't feeding into that dream. In fact, they did the opposite. They took him out one day, and they said, we should kill him, his brothers. His oldest brother, Reuben, was like, no, let's not kill him. Let's just toss him in a pit, right? And when the dealers and travelers come by from Egypt, we can sell him. And they go, you know what? That's a good idea. So they toss him in this pit. They don't kill him, but they take blood. They take his multicolored cloak. They put blood all over it, right? And they toss him in the pit, and then they come and they sell him. And all this starts in Genesis 37. In fact, he's got it already up on the screen. Let's just go ahead and read and just keep it going, okay? It says, Jacob lived in the land where his father had stayed, in the land of Canaan. Jacob being the father who became Israel. This is the account of Jacob's family line. Joseph, a young man of 17, was tending the flocks with his brothers, the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and he brought their father a bad report about them. Now Israel, who was also Jacob, loved Joseph more than any of his other sons because he had been born to him in his old age, and he had made an ornate robe for him, that multicolored robe. When his brothers saw that Their father loved him more than any of them. They hated him and could not speak any kind words of him. Does that sound familiar? I know you got to have at least one or two people that do that to you right now. Verse 5, Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. It was haters in 2100 BC. What you think y'all doing? He had haters already 2100 years before Christ, and you think you got some haters. He said to them, listen to this dream I had. Keep it going. We binding sheaves of grain out of the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it. His brothers said to him, do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us? And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. Keep it coming. Then he had another dream, and he told it to his brothers. Listen, he said, I had another dream. And this time the sun and the moon and the 11 stars were bowing down to me. Keep it coming. When he told his father as well as his brothers, his father rebuked him and said, what is this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to you, to the ground before you? His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept that matter in mind. Come on. It said, now his brothers had gone to graze their father's flocks near Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, as you know, your brothers are grazing the flocks near Shechem. Come, I am going to send you to them. Very well, he replied, and he left. So he said to him, go and see if all is well with your brothers. Israel said to this to Joseph, with the flocks, and bring word back to me. Then he sent him off from the valley of Hebron, where Joseph arrived at Shechem. A man found him wandering around in the fields and asked him, what are you looking for? Come on. He replied, I'm looking for my brothers. Can you tell me where they are, where they're grazing their flocks? They have moved on from here, the man answered. I heard them say, let's go to Dothan. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. But they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. Now, we're going to stop right there just for a second. They saw him coming towards them. He chasing them. These are his haters. He told them what his dream was. They weren't feeling it. He's coming after them. They see him. They say, we need to kill this dude. These are his brothers. These aren't homies. These aren't people that he's cool with. These are his blood relatives plotting to kill him as soon as they see him. What do you think your folks might be plotting for you? I'm just throwing it out there. Let's roll. Here comes that dreamer, they said to each other. That might sound familiar. Keep it coming. Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns and say that a ferocious animal devoured him. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams. Keep it coming. When Reuben, his oldest brother, heard this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. Let's not take his life, he said. Don't shed any blood. Throw him into the cistern here in the wilderness, but don't lay a hand on him. Reuben said this to rescue him from them and take him back to the father. Because you know how the oldest brother, I can't have that blood on my hands. Come on with it. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the ornate robe he was wearing, and they took him and threw him into the cistern. The cistern was empty. There was no water in it. As they sat down to eat their meal, they looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Their camels were loaded with spices, balm, and myrrh, and they were on their way to take them down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, what will we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? He says, come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites and lay not our hands on him. After all, he is our brother. Oh, now he's your brother. A minute ago, you wanted to kill him. Our own flesh and blood. His brothers agreed. So when the Midianite merchants came by, his brothers pulled Joseph up out of the cistern and sold him for 20 shekels of silver to the Ishmaelites, who took him to Egypt. When Reuben returned to the cistern and saw that Joseph was not there, he tore his clothes. He ripped his own clothes because he realized, oh no, my brother's gone. He went back to his brothers and said, the boy isn't there. Where can I turn now? He knew he was going to be held responsible because he was the oldest. Then they got Joseph's robe, slaughtered a goat, and dipped the robe in the blood. That's a whole nother story that I won't get into tonight because we ain't got enough time, but that's a good one if we want to talk after this. they took the ornate robe back to their father and said, "We found this. Examine it to see whether it is your son's robe." He recognized it and said, "It is my son's robe. Some ferocious animal has devoured him. Joseph surely has been torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and mourned for his son for many days. I want you to jump over Genesis 38 and go straight to Genesis 39. I want to talk about this for a minute. So this boy, all he had was a dream. What had he done to them? All that reading we just did, what had Joseph done to them? Nothing. He told them about a dream. It's not like he went out and bought whips, right? He didn't go out there and put together some master plan to be their ruler. He just said, "This is what God showed me." They sold this boy off to slavery just for talking about his dream. You are not Joseph, but just think about that. How many times have you been sold out by people you trusted, and all you did was talk? You didn't really even do nothing, but they sold you out. Think about that. Let's go to Genesis 39. Genesis 39. Now Joseph had been taken to Egypt. Potiphar, an Egyptian who was one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard, brought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him there. The Lord was with Joseph. The Lord was with Joseph, so that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. Even as a slave, he prospered because God was with him. It says, when his master saw that the Lord was with him, and the Lord gave him success in everything he did, come on, Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge of his household, and he entrusted him to the care of everything else he owned. Keep coming. From the time he put him in charge of his household and of all that he owned, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. The blessing of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in the house and in the field. Keep going, but we're going to stop it just for a second. They sold him out because of a dream. God didn't sell him out. God said, "I'm with you wherever you go." As a slave, God said, "I'm going to be with you to the point where no matter where they put you, you will be a leader. Because I've made you to be a leader, not a slave." Even in his servitude, he was given control of everything in that household by somebody that was above him, because he witnessed God. A stranger saw God in Joseph when his own family couldn't, when his own brothers didn't. A stranger. Why? Because the stranger understood God. It took a man in Egypt to understand God enough to say, "This is something special about this kid." And that's what it takes for you. One person to realize that there's something special about you, right? One person to kind of feed you, to push into you, to give you something and say, "I got your back," will change everything for you. It says, so Potiphar left everything he had in Joseph's care. With Joseph in charge, he did not concern himself with anything else, anything except the food he ate. Now Joseph was well built and handsome. Here we go. Here we go. And after a while, his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, "Come to bed with me." Already, here go the devil. Whenever God is moving, y'all don't expect no opposition. What do you think the devil's job is? He gonna send some opposition, and he did it in the form of a woman, Potiphar's wife. It says, but he refused. "With me in charge," he told her, "my master does not concern himself with anything in this house. Everything he owns he has entrusted it to my care. No one is greater in the house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How then could I do such a wicked thing? Do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" Keep in mind, this whole time you heard him talking about his master, you thought he was talking about Potiphar, didn't you? Right? You thought he's talking about God the whole time. He don't work for Potiphar. Potiphar works for him, right? Potiphar thinks he's his boss, but he's not. Joseph says, "I work for God. God gave me all this. Why would I give that up for you?" That's what the devil does. He will put something in your way to keep you from having your dream or whatever it is God had for you. In this case, it was probably a beautiful woman. She was Egyptian, so you know her hair was right. Just throwing it out there. Most of the good hair come from, Egypt. I'm just saying. So she was probably bad. Olive skin ain't no telling. She was probably built nice too. He said, no. All those things are of the flesh. He pursues God because God gave him something great. A dream. A dream. Come on with it. And though she spoke to Joseph the day after, Joseph day after day. He refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. One day he went into the house to attend to his duties, and none of the household servants was inside. Uh-oh, that's already trouble. She caught him by his cloak and said, "Come to bed with me." But he left his cloak in her hand and ran out of the house. When she saw that he had left his cloak in her hand and had run out of the house, she called her household servants. "Look," she said to them, this Hebrew has been brought to us to make sport of us. He came in here to sleep with me, but I screamed." When he heard me scream for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house. She set him up. She kept his cloak beside her until the master came home. Keep it coming, but we're going to take another break already. The minute he says, "No, I don't want it," he runs out. She's already setting him up. She says, "If you don't want this, I'm going to make sure that you don't have any of it." That's exactly what the devil does, you guys. When we pray to God for certain things and God gives us a little bit of something, we can rejoice in that something, but the minute we run back to what we were doing before when we didn't have it, all the stuff that didn't work, all them people that did not work for us, and it's gone, what are we supposed to do? Doesn't that always happen, that people will take you back in when you're doing well, but then you fall again and now they don't want to be around you? They figure out, well, you ain't got no money, so you can't help me. You need to go back to whatever you was doing. Why don't the church help you? Don't you go to church now? The church can't help you pay your rent, right? That's what they do. Those are your friends, or who you thought was your friends. Well, this is her who he thought was his friend, setting him up, lying on him. And I can kind of understand, completely separate story, at the beginning of my second marriage, I could understand that, I was her roommate, okay? We weren't married yet. I was her roommate, and rent was due sometimes. I'm just trying to tell you, I didn't always have the rent, but it was due and it had to be paid. So there was many a time I had to run out and leave my cloak. "Get away from me, woman. Leave me alone. I can't afford to pay the rent." But I never got evicted, so Kyla's around here somewhere. Some of y'all got that joke. All right. 17, it says, "Then she told this story. That Hebrew slave you brought to us came to me to make sport of me. But as soon as I screamed for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house." Keep it coming. "When his master heard the story, his wife told him, saying, 'This is how your slave treated me.' He burned with anger." Come on. "Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined. But while Joseph was there in the prison," come on, "the Lord was with him." Twice. God said, "I ain't never going to leave you." He showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. Come on. "So the warden put Joseph in charge of all those held in the prison, and he was made responsible for all that was done there." Even lower than being a slave, now he's a captive in prison. And what does God do? He shows the warden, "This is mine. He belongs to me." The warden says, "You are a leader. You are a leader. I want to make sure you lead all this." He never asked to be no leader. In all this reading we did, how many times did Joseph say, "I want to be a leader"? Right? All he said was, "God gave me a dream." That's it. And in that, God made sure that it was going to happen no matter where he was, as a slave, in prison, doesn't matter, in a pit. For 10 years, he's still the leader, because God said, "That's your identity." He said, "It's not what these people say you are. You're not a slave for Potiphar. You're not even a prisoner for the warden. You are my servant. I say you're a leader. I gave it to you in a dream. You follow me, you're going to have all that." The warden paid no attention to anything under Joseph's care. He just gave it to Joseph. It's yours. Because the Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. You can't lose when you're with God. Even what looks like failure, going to jail, is success, and you're about to see why. When you're working with God, it always works out. The question is, do you have enough time and love and patience and will and courage to see it through to the end, to see it all the way through to when that fruit shows up? That's the real ones, the real servants. That's the ones you want to be around. Find somebody like that, you stay with them, because they'll get you far. Sometime later, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt offended their master, the king of Egypt. Come on. Pharaoh was angry with his two officials, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. and put them in the custody of the house of the captain of the guard, in the same prison where Joseph was confined. Come on. The captain of the guard assigned them to Joseph, and he attended them. After they had been in custody for some time, each of the two men, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were being held in the prison, had a dream the same night. And the dream had meaning of its own. Let's see what they dreamed. It said, when Joseph came to them the next morning, he saw that they were dejected. That means these dreams might not have been that good. When he asked Pharaoh's officials who were in the custody with him in his master's house, why do you look so sad today? We both had dreams, they answered, but there is no one to interpret our dreams. Then Joseph said to them, do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dream. Joseph don't know these guys. But the truth of the matter is he knows God. God said, you know what? This is an opportunity for you to interpret some dreams. Do what you do. God gave him that gift. Now he's using his gift. How many times in a walk do you see somebody not using their gift because of their circumstance? Joseph could have been in there mad. I didn't even do nothing with that girl. I'm wrongly accused. I need an appeal. I shouldn't even be in this prison. He could have drove himself crazy and missed out on the opportunity to do what God put him there to do, but he stayed focused. He said, let me interpret your dreams. It says, so the chief cupbearer told Joseph his dream. He said to him, in my dream, I saw a vine in front of me. And on the vine were 3 branches. As soon as it budded, it blossomed, and its clusters ripened into grapes. Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, squeezed them into the Pharaoh's cup, and put the cup in his hand. This is what it means, Joseph said to them. The 3 branches are 3 days. Joseph says, within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your position, and you will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand, just as you used to do when you were a cupbearer. Come on. But when all goes well with you, remember me, show me kindness, mention me to Pharaoh, and get me out of this prison. Come on. I was forcibly carried off from the land of the Hebrews, and even here I have done nothing to deserve being put in a dungeon. Come on. When the chief baker saw that Joseph had given a favorable interpretation, he said to Joseph, I too had a dream. On my head were 3 baskets of bread. In the top basket were all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, but the birds were eating them out of the basket of my head, or on my head. This is what it means, Joseph said. The 3 baskets are 3 days. He says, within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head and impale your body on a pole. That's not good news. And the birds will eat away at your body. The birds will eat away at your flesh. Come on. Now the 3rd day was Pharaoh's birthday, and he had gave a great feast for all his officials. He lifted up the heads of the chief cupbearer and the chief baker in the presence of his officials. He restored the chief cupbearer to his position so that he once again put the cup in the Pharaoh's hand, just like Joseph said. But he impaled the chief baker, just as Joseph had said to them in his interpretation. Come on. The chief cupbearer, however, did not remember Joseph. He forgot him. We're going to stop right there. Now, you just watched what happened. God worked through Joseph. Joseph said, no, this is what your dream has for you. Pursue your dream, because that's how it's going to end. It ended exactly the way Joseph said. Again, Joseph has not gone wrong yet. The only person he trusted to say, get me out of here, forgot once he got his blessing. How many times did that happen? I hope y'all don't understand. 2,100 years ago, this is happening. It's got to be ringing some bells. I refuse to believe you guys are sitting in this room or sitting at home watching this online, however you're watching this, and you've never had that happen to you, to where you do something for God, for somebody else, and they forget you. 9 times out of 10, they're the ones who could have came back and helped you, but for some reason, now that they got their blessing, you don't see them. Too many times I've prayed for people to get jobs, and they was all about it, and the minute they get that job we prayed for, you don't see them ever again. Okay? You can't find them. In fact, they go out of their way not to see you. They go out of their way to make sure they don't run into you at Walmart, which makes no sense because you ain't got no problem with them, but at the same time, they don't want to be around you. You're too real. You remind them of what they were supposed to be doing. That's why they don't want to be around you. You keep pushing forward. Let's go to Genesis chapter 47. I'm gonna clear some space for you guys. Just so you know, the Pharaoh has a dream. He understands that Joseph can interpret dreams. Calls Joseph to interpret the dream. He gives a great interpretation. It comes true. And Pharaoh exalts Joseph. He says, you will be my second in command. Second in command meaning he is over Potiphar. The one that he was a slave to in the beginning of the story is now underneath him. Joseph, the slave, Joseph, the prisoner, is now second in command to Pharaoh, the highest of the high, because he was able to use his dream to interpret what was going to happen to Egypt. Now, how awesome is this? You've got his brothers. Now, this is a famine taking place, right? Everybody's hungry because of Joseph telling the Pharaoh, we're going to save. We're going to have 7 good years. We're going to take all those 7 good years of yeast and all these good things, and we're going to save some of it. And we're going to use that to get us through and to get the people through when the famine comes, because we're going to have a 7-year famine. Well, the famine hits all the surrounding areas, right? All Canaan and everything. They have to go to Egypt to get food. Who do you think controls all the food? Joseph controls all the food. Who do you think is so hungry they come all the way up there and cannot believe that this little boy who they thought was dead or sold off is now running things? His brothers. The same people that did not believe in him, that tried to kill him, that squashed his dream, that didn't care about this boy, are at his feet begging for food. Joseph didn't ask for none of that. He didn't say, Lord, please give me this power so I could make them pay. He just said, I know what you showed me, Lord. I just want that. God said, you are a leader. They will bend to you. He didn't say it was going to be easy. He didn't say everything was going to work out and all your best friends was going to be there with you the whole time. He just said, you keep pursuing me and I will give you what I showed you. This is 10 years of being in prison, right? This is how many years of being a slave? Now he's the man. He could have easily said, I don't want to give you nothing. I don't. But he gave him food. 47:1 says, Joseph went and told Pharaoh, my father and my brothers with their flocks and herds and everything they own have come from the land of Canaan and are now in Goshen. He chose 5 of his brothers and presented them before the Pharaoh. Pharaoh asked the brothers, what is your occupation? The brothers said, Yahweh, 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 Ahwoot. No, that wasn't in it. It says, what is your occupation? The servants are shepherds, they replied to Pharaoh, just as our fathers were. Keep coming. Don't look for that in the book. It's not in there. That's local. They also said to him, we have come to live here for a while because of the famine is severe in Canaan, and your servants' flocks have no pasture. So now please let your servants settle in Goshen. Goshen is a little area right outside of Egypt. Come on. Pharaoh said to Joseph, your father and your brothers have come to you. Wow. And the land of Egypt is before you. Settle your father and your brothers in the best part of the land, Goshen. If you know of any among them with special abilities, put them in charge of my livestock, of my own livestock. Then Joseph brought his father Jacob in and presented him before the Pharaoh after Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Pharaoh asked him, how old are you? And Jacob said to Pharaoh, the years of my pilgrimage are 130. My years have been few and difficult, and they do not equal the years of the pilgrimage of my fathers. Come on. Then Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from his presence. So Joseph settled his father and his brothers in Egypt and gave them property in the best part of the land, the district of Ramses, as Pharaoh directed. You can stop it right there. Look where we went, y'all. We went from that little boy, 17 years old, having a dream and everybody trying to crush it, to him pursuing that dream with everything he had. All he did was what God told him to do. All he did was stay obedient. He suffered, but you didn't see him suffer. Even in his suffering, he was made a king. He was made a king, and his family had to come to him. He could have easily said, no, y'all need to go out there and die in Canaan for what you did to me. But that's not what he was all about. When you've been walking with God for that long, when God has blessed you that much, that becomes your identity. You become that person. You start to forget things that people did to you. I do another sermon. Y'all can find it on Facebook online, right? Called The Lottery Ticket. Because I promise you, no matter who you hate or no matter who owes you money, you win Powerball. Are you really worried about them? I doubt it. I'd like to meet somebody who's won Powerball that's worried about Ray Ray that owes him $20. You ain't worried. You probably loaning Ray Ray more money because now you got it. That's what he did. God gave him everything. He said, I'm so used to having what God gave me that why would I lose it? Just like he did with Potiphar's wife. Why would I give up what God is doing for me to give in to the flesh and to give in to you, to this woman, or to give in to my anger to his family, right? Or to give in to what I think would be justice, what anybody would have said was justice. He said, I ride with God, meaning I don't see that as justice. Justice would be to give to you, to do unto others as you would have done unto you. He gave them a kingdom. There's no way they could ever thank him for what he did. The same way there's no way he could ever thank God for what God did in him. The moral of this story is that he pursued God with everything he had. There was more hate being thrown at that man than I've had my entire 38 years on this planet, right? I can name some names, and I promise I ain't even been close to that. When I go to jail, then y'all can be like, okay, he's getting a little closer, but I ain't been there yet, so, you know. I'm just trying to throw it out to you guys if it sounds familiar. Maybe not to all of you. Some of you might have had some gifted lives. You ain't never had no haters. All your friends is good friends. They've been with you the whole time. But for the ones who aren't, understand something. The people in your life right now, enjoy them because they're with you for a season. That's it. They're only going to go so far with you. At some point, they got to get away from you. You might even be the one that's poisonous. Okay? But the ones that's real, keep them as long as you can until you die, until you say goodbye to this world, because they're few and far between. There's not many of them. He didn't have many, but the couple that he had, look where it got him. You will get your dream. You will get there. I promise you. As long as you're pursuing God, nothing can stop you. In some cases, not even death. Look at the people you with. Look at the people you want to be with. Make a decision. And let it start tomorrow. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, it is no small thing, Lord, for me to be in this platform, just to be able to speak out to somebody. There is one person, Lord. There is somebody who understands every word I said up here on this podium. They understand because they can see faces, Lord Jesus. And they feel that anger welling up because they know they've been wrong, Lord Jesus. But there's something that they want, something that you put them on this earth to do. They're not here just to be here. There was something you told them to do. And they've lost their way, Lord Jesus. I ask right now, Father, that you touch them, that you give them that dream. If you can't give it to them right now, Lord, give it to them tonight. Let them drive home and think about that and say, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? What was that thing that made my heart beat fast, that I wanted so bad? And why did I stop pursuing it? And if I'm pursuing it, why am I slowing down? Or is it the people around me that are slowing me down? What do I got to do, Lord? Who do I got to give the gift of goodbye to get to where I'm supposed to be? Lord, I want you to bless them. I want you to bless them, Father. I want you to bless them the way you blessed Joseph. Stay with them, Lord, so that the people around them know that you are with them and that they are blessed and that those people have no choice but to continue the blessing because they want to be blessed by you. Lord, I want somebody to come up to me one of these days, Lord, if I'm still breathing, and say, that message was for me. That was my message. And after I made my changes, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I got what I wanted. Thank you, Pastor. And I'm going to say, don't thank me. That wasn't my message. I had something else written for this sermon, but this is what God gave me right now. I'm going to say thank Jesus because he's the one who got me there. He's the one who got you there. I ask all these things, Lord, because they're my brothers and sisters and I love them. I ask these things for myself because I love you, Jesus, and I know you love us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Before I leave, I'm almost certain 99.9% of you guys are saved. But you never know. There's always maybe one. If you don't understand God, if you don't understand walking with the Spirit, if you don't understand having dreams and visions that are bigger than you, that you can actually accomplish because God's already said you're going to do it. This is your chance. This is your time. I'm not going to call you up here at the front. I'm not going to call you out. What I'm going to ask you to do is come and see me. When I step off the stage, just come over to me and say, I want it. I want it, and you'll have it tonight because I won't let you leave the same way you came. God bless you for coming. any chance I get to give the word, you know I'm having way too much fun, but the fact that you sat here and let me read all that scripture is awesome. I told you I was going to feed you. God bless you guys. You guys have a great night.
Amen. Don't go anywhere. We have one more performance for the night, one closing song.
Uh-oh. Am I spitting? Is it me? Oh, okay.
Brother Adrian's going to come up. So give him a warm welcome,
I was having flashbacks.
Amen. All right, can you move that podium out of his way, Pastor Andy? There we go. Thank you.
How y'all doing? Hold up, stop it for a second. First off, I want to say thank God. Hope everybody here is having a good time. Everybody doing all right. I just want the Lord to help me while I'm on stage right now. It's been a while since I performed. And by the way, my name is AJ. I'm 15. I make beats. The beat I'm rapping on I made. And yeah, I'm just here to minister. I turn up for the Lord, we go through the floor. Bouncing on the stage, this is my new way to rage. This a middle stage, this the devil in his face. This a middle stage, this the devil in his face. Have me sleep behind the stove, that's the way he gave. I did not like to go fun, I told the devil he won. It was like he had a gun, putting the smoke in my lungs. I wasn't thinking on you, I had a problem with too. If it went back I would lose, I'ma just lose my cool way. Something like I used to. Then I woke up at like 2 away. I can't get enough of this never ending love. I can't get enough of this never ending love. Go crazy, go crazy. Turning the light in my last. I put the things on blast. I get when I took gas. I might get all the cash because that didn't go last. I know the devil he mad. I know the devil he sad. I know the Lord he glad. If we can catch up, it back. I do not need to make back. He put the bird in his back. Talking that Christian we lack. I swear I need to relax. Fast, 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 fast. I swear we need to relax. Ay, we turn up for the Lord. We go through the floor. Bouncing on the stage. This is my new way to rage. This a in his face. This a devil in his face. This a in his face. This a devil in his face. I turn up for the Lord. We go through the floor. Bouncing on the stage. This is our new way to rage. This a in his face. This a devil in his face. This a in his face. This a devil in his face. Go crazy. Go crazy. Turning it like it's my last. I put the music on blast. I get it without the gas. I might get all the cash because I need to go last. I know the devil he's mad. I know the devil he's sad. I know the Lord he's glad. If we can't take it back, I do not need to make back. He put that bird in his back. Talking like Christian relax. I swear I need to relax. Fast, 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 fast. I swear I need to relax. Hey, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Amen. We want to thank you for coming. Please remember the second Saturday of each month, we do this on a larger scale. Thank you for coming to our Sunday night Bible studies. We will see you next Sunday. Fellowship and tell somebody you love them.